Alrighty, now we're going to be talking about the 1987 film Predator, which Tanner picked.
That's
coincidentally.
Right.
Coincidentally.
Predator is a movie about a bunch of dudes and they're army men's, and they go into the jungle on a mission to kill some fucking drug dealers?
Probably.
Terrorists? Some kind of unknown threat. It doesn't matter. They're walking through the jungle. They find a bunch of guys that are on their side, and they're fucking slaughtered. Holy shit, their skin's been peeled off. That's mysterious. They show up at the terrorist camp, or the rebel. I don't know what these people are, but they show up at the camp, and they're like, okay, let's fuck them up. And boy, howdy do they. This is not a struggle whatsoever. They blast these motherfuckers away. They burn down the entire place. They blow them up. It's just, it's a fun time, you know. They kill them real good. And then there's a woman left, because they're like, well, we can't shoot a girl. And they bring her along, and as they're heading out, they get the feeling that something's after them. Something's weird. Something's wrong. And then one of them dies mysteriously, and they're like, what the fuck? How did that happen? And then they realize there's some kind of creature here, and he's hunting us, much like a predator would. And the predator kills them off one by one until we're left with just Arnold Schwarzenegger. And he has a big struggle. He covers himself in mud. He makes some traps. Boom, boom, bing. He fights the thing, and he eventually wins. He prevails until it activates a nuke and fucking blows them both up. And then the girl flies off, and
Arnold Schwarzenegger escapes, by the way.
Does he?
Yes.
How?
He ran away.
You see him like standing there in the fog at the end.
Yeah, he's hanging dong between his legs and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I literally don't even remember that.
No.
That's crazy.
That's in this movie?
Yeah.
It ends and we see him alive?
Yeah, you see the ash in the helicopter coming down. I even remember saying, how did they find him in all this?
Oh, yeah.
They flew towards the giant nuke, though, Jackson.
Jesus, I guess my brain was just like, well, I guess they both died, and then
the Predator
I guess
won
I find the concept of him surviving that so inconceivable that I blocked out that part of the movie. But anyway.
That just dropped it 2 tears for Tanner.
Nah. And then, my haiku for this film. Big guns, bigger men. Hunted by an alien. What a sore loser. Yes, Dylan.
I would like to start the whole thing with, I like that this movie doesn't fall in the typical horror genre theme where people
probably because it's not a horror movie.
Well, regardless,
And
what
yet
I'm
it
about to
does
say
still
will make
have some
more
of those like
sense.
slasher elements to it.
Yeah. But I like how it doesn't fall into the trope of people being dumb. Like they feel like something's watching them, which it is. And then somebody dies, but they're like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Like, well, how does he just disappear? And the lady's like, oh, the forest just came to life. And they refuse to believe it, but they know something's there. So they're playing with the thought that something dangerous is there. And, like, these guys aren't dying in dumb ways like we see in some of these horror slasher films that we've been seeing recently. So I can at least appreciate the movie for the fact of, you know, there's a struggle going on at least. But unfortunately, what we're also viewing is just there is a superior in this struggle, I guess if you would call it that. They're just doing the best that they can to survive against a threat they know nothing about. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Tanner.
I largely agree on you. I even said this while we were watching. I was like, I appreciate that these guys aren't fucking idiots. Like, they seem largely competent. There is one death where I'm like, that's like a stupid movie thing, and that's when the Native American guy decides to just fucking hand-to-hand combat the Predator.
Yeah.
And we also don't get to see him fight it. That was lame as fuck.
Well, it also seemed like he died immediately, because it was... I actually do... That's part of one of my criticisms. I want to go back. That takes second to one of the other deaths that I thought was actually kind of dumb. It was when Mac, the big black guy, decided to go after because he killed the one dude with the minigun. He's like, I'm gonna get revenge because he killed my brother. So, like, he's, like, crawling through, like, the trees or whatever, and then he sees, like, these red dots on his arm. I'm like, regardless of whether this is an alien creature or not, I feel like we're at the point in like, of technology in the world where red dots never mean anything good. So then not only does he notice the red dots on his arm, but he goes to crawl further to look where the red dots are coming from. Instead of what I think would be a normal human reaction is knowing that red dot technology is never good, be like, oh shit, I should probably not be in the line of sight of this thing. And he gets capped immediately.
I am gonna look up when laser sights were invented.
That's probably a solid backing
Actually,
to my argument.
I guess I first have to know, is this movie set in the year that it came out?
They typically do that with these older movies, yes.
Yeah, just like Warriors.
I don't know what to say to that. But I guess I'll just go along. So the criticism that I mentioned, I feel
The
like
CGI.
they rushed. Yeah, the CGI was,
Like, in parts it looks, like, perfectly serviceable, you know, plainly passable, but in other parts, like, when the Predator's, like, first, like, shows up
The
and, like,
laser
murders a
weapon
guy.
is terrible.
Yeah.
In every scene.
Yeah, it's inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's not inaccurate. It's inconsistent, I guess I should say. In some scenes, it completely dismembers people. In another scene, it blows a fucking hole in this guy's chest cavity. In another scene, it hits Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is fucking plot armor at its finest. Literally seconds before that, shoots another guy, the wounded guy, in the face, and it doesn't blow his head off. It just kills him somehow without doing damage. And literally seconds later, it hits Arnold in the shoulder. He doesn't. It's not even disabled. Like, it's just. Maybe it grazed him. I don't know. It looked like it hit him.
It was a
it's just super
minor
inconsistent.
inconvenience.
Well, that, and like you could see, like, when the laser weapon misses sometimes, if it hits a tree or something, it causes a big ass explosion. Like, what the fuck? And it doesn't even seem like it has a charge time. But that's just outside the criticism. The real criticism I had outside of that was towards the end. What ends up happening is we get this really long, unnecessarily, in my opinion, unnecessarily drawn out scene where Arnold is fighting the Predator, which it would have been fine if the action was a little like faster pace. I feel like the ending, the pace just came to a breaching halt, and it gets super boring, even though they're fighting the whole time. This movie is pretty kick-ass, and then it gets to the end, and that's where it kind of dies for me. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think this movie's pretty kick-ass. Otherwise, anybody?
So, laser sights had already been invented, and this movie is in fact set the year it came out. So,
Okay.
your point stands, Dylan.
I'll take it early. It's hit or miss on that.
What do you mean? That backs up your point exactly. This
Well,
is
if
the
it came
information
out-
you wanted to hear.
I know, but if it came out that year, I don't know. I guess I'll take it. It's whatever.
What are you talking about?
Never mind. Let's move
Your
on.
whole point is they would know what laser sights are, and I just confirmed that for you.
We're moving on.
He doesn't
I appreciate
understand.
it, Tanner. Thank you.
Okay. Okay.
So, Tanner, what were your thoughts on this film? I'd assume you were, like, way fucking into it, because this is the most masculine film I've ever seen, okay?
I was about to say I love how fucking masculine this movie is. I love how fucking... I love how buff everyone is. You know, this is the kind of diversity I want to see in my movies, where, yes, we have guys of different races getting along, and they're all fucking jacked.
Yeah.
Yeah, the special effects were pretty dated. The laser... So let me be very specific. The laser itself, where it's like a blue oval moving through the screen, whatever. I can kind of forgive that. When it hits someone and it does the little, like, bright orange splash that doesn't look anything like an explosion, that is where I'm like, that looked terrible. Like, they should have just done a squib or something and not had it like an explosion effect on it. It looked truly bad. And then the cloaking was kind of hit or miss. Sometimes it looked really good. Sometimes it looked really bad.
Yeah, it just completely fucking took me out of the movie on several occasions there.
Yeah. And then the Predator vision, I'm kind of torn on. Because, like, if the point of the Predator vision is to make it seem like, okay, sometimes he can't tell what the fuck he's looking at, then good job. If that's not what they're going for, then it was terrible. But, because I believe I interpret the point of those scenes as to be like, okay, the Predator has become overly reliant on its technology, which is hindering its ability to find them, because sometimes, you know, its infrared and its fucking motion sensor or whatever the fuck visions it has don't always do the job that just looking at shit could. But I don't know if that's the point. And then I liked all the action scenes. I thought that very long extended sequence of them fucking up that camp was great. I really enjoyed that. And I like all of our characters. I think they're very charismatic. They're instantly identifiable as to here's their deal, here's what they do, here's their personality. I think they do a good job characterizing them, even though this is a pretty quick action flick. So yeah, overall, I really like this movie.
I think it's okay. It's a pretty decent film for the most part. Just like, you know, I don't particularly feel as though any of the characters are very compelling is the big thing. And like, you know, I don't know.
I think they're compelling for an action movie.
Yeah, but like, maybe that's just the problem, man. Maybe action movies just can't get into that upper echelon for me or something. It's tough to say. Maybe they're just a little too shallow for me, you know?
Nico's gonna big brain over Predator, but he couldn't do it with Midsommar.
Jackson, what did you think?
Kind of a combination of all of you guys. I thought the action scenes were cool. I definitely think it's pretty slow paced, but that's just kind of how they made movies back in the day. The characters have like no depth at all, really, but it's an action movie, so who really cares? Kind of with Dylan on like the final fight scene. I like the idea behind it, but it was like really slow and took forever for anything to actually happen. And like half the traps didn't even work, which I think was, you know, it's kind of trying to make it seem realistic. And then also the fucking Predator is just like really inconsistent for me. Like how the fuck he even fell into like the really obvious trap in the first place of like a bunch of fucking dudes in the woods and like the big thing to stand on, and he got caught in that. How the fuck did that even happen if he's like constantly watching them, presumably? I don't understand why the woman had to be a character at all. I don't really know what purpose she served. It's also weird when like he first attacked them and it kind of seemed like he was defending the girl at first because like the guy was trying to, you know, do something to her, and then he like killed the dude as like an act of self-defense maybe for her. I don't know. Weird motivations. They don't ever really explain much about the Predator. They need some fucking alien, and I guess he's just there to hunt people for sport. Why though? I don't know. I don't know anything about this franchise at all, so it all just seemed really weird to me and kind of pointless.
I mean,
But
to a certain
it was-
degree, I definitely kind of prefer it that way. I'm happy that we didn't get a scene of like some random guy out there in the woods who's like, I know exactly what that thing is. Here's everything you need to know about it. Here are its weaknesses, or like some random fucking
No,
alien.
I think the big thing is I'm not necessarily taken out of it. If anything, I like antagonists that don't have a lot of depth to them.
Yeah.
Or not depth. I like them to have a lot of unknowns because
Yeah.
it makes them more threatening, especially from like the perspective of the characters. It's a much more domineering figure when you don't know anything about it. You don't know its abilities or anything. Especially if you're like some stalker running around like an invisibility in the woods. That's fucking horrifying. But it just seems inconsistent, like with the invisibility thing. I don't like how they do invisibility in movies, where like they have like the weird screen wobbly effect. Can the people see that or not? Like it looks like they can see it.
Yeah.
In this, I think it's pretty clear they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the case.
But like my big thing with the Predator is like everything about them seems so primitive, which is weird to me for a space traveling race that's going around fucking around with their time. It's hunting people for sport for no reason. Why do they seem so fucking primitive? Maybe that's just like they didn't have like back in the 70s or whatever this film came out, and they didn't really have like a concept of like what it could be some more like high tech shit. But like it seemed really really fucking basic for what it is. It also just seemed like it wasn't really that smart, which maybe is like kind of the point of it. I don't know. I think this movie was all right. I think it's entertaining.
Yeah, two things just based on what I heard. So I think the only purpose for the woman in this this movie was she had like a throwaway line, and by a throwaway line I mean it was like a decent minute or two or whatever, where she was talking about, oh, in summers when it's hot, this thing shows up and kills the men and then makes them trophies, and we call it the collector of trophies, or makes trophies of men, or whatever they called it. So there
Yeah,
was
all
that.
of that. It's
So
a very
that's
long
kind of
title.
I don't
That's
feel
the
like we
only-
really needed that world building though.
Yeah, and then the only reason she didn't die, it was actually a throwaway line later on in the movie where it killed the wounded guy, and then she grabbed the guy's SMG that was on his body and went to go shoot it, and then Arnold grabs it, throws it away. He's like, "Oh no, he doesn't think you're a threat, just run!" And so she runs away. So I think it's presumably the Predator's only going after the dudes because they look more threatening, and also they're armed and look like they could actually do something to him, and, you know, perceivably a threat to the Predator, I think is what because he wants a challenge.
That's fair enough. The resolution on his thermal vision's so dog shit though. How the fuck can he even tell people apart at all? Like they're just like big glowing blobs to him, basically.
It was the 80s, man. Don't worry about it. It's fine. I think.
Are we supposed to interpret it that the thermal vision's a lot higher resolution than what we're seeing it as?
I don't
think so. No.
Okay, then I find that point hard to believe, but I see what you're going for with it, or see what they're going for. If that's what the intention was.
I know a little more about this world. I don't know much more. All I know about the Predator race is that they pride themselves in hunting everything. That's why eventually the Predator versus Alien movie comes out, because I think it's in the second movie you see like skulls of the aliens on a Predator ship. So they just go around collecting trophies of different races, and that's how they show their macho or whatever to their own species and all that. So that's like their whole thing, I guess.
Yeah, and I do think you do kind of get hints of that in this film. When, like, he does fight that Native American dude. It's like, that guy's, like, challenging him. And so the Predator does go, like, a little beyond his, like, typical means where he, like, fucking rips the guy's spine out or whatever the fuck, to be like, look, I got a trophy because I actually fought this guy in real combat or whatever the fuck.
Didn't shoot him and shit.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out the costume. I think the Predator costume is really good.
Yeah, I think it looks very nice. Good. Have you guys seen what the original Predator costume was supposed to look like?
No.
It's
maybe
fucking goofy.
Does it look like the werewolf guy in the Swamp Thing?
No, it's worse, in fact.
I would like to take this time to say R.I.P. Carl Weathers. You'll be dearly missed.
We forgot to mention it.
Well, I figured I'd mention it now.
Carl Weathers died this week, the week we watched this movie.
Hopefully this does not become a reoccurring thing at Guapish at the movies.
I sure hope not.
Yeah, rest in peace, Carl Weathers. You will be missed.
You will live on forever in Predator.
Alright, so here was like the original, one of the original costumes they were using for it.
There's no way.
No.
What the fuck is that? How did they turn that into what it is now?
So they're actually using this for I'll find like more so like the actual thing here.
That looks like that looks animated.
So the entire purpose behind that costume actually was for the invisibility, because they needed something to like keyframe out, and so they couldn't use like blue, they couldn't use green because of the fucking like sky in the jungle, so they went with red instead. But it looks really fucking goofy, and so they didn't end up going with that design. This is more so it was going to actually end up looking like it was going to just be like a big bug man.
That's not terrible. I'm gonna open this up.
I don't like. I think the design they ended up with is vastly.
It is
superior.
infinitely better.
It is better. I imagine this more so being in some kind of like horror movie where there's like a big monster.
Yeah, that's much more horror adjacent.
It's much more Predator-esque though. Like that thing looks like a predator.
Either way.
I don't know.
Anyway.
As for the rankings of this movie, though, like, I didn't have much good to say about it because I generally feel like you guys said the good bits, here, but I didn't hate this movie at all. I'm gonna give it a B+.
That's higher than I thought you were gonna give it.
I also gave it a B+.
Whoa!
I'm giving it an A+.
Yikes.
Dylan, what are you giving it then?
Alright, as was previously stated, I thought Zoom was the best movie we watched this week.
Whoa.
Yikes. I didn't think this was a bad movie, but like I said, the ending really drug it down for me. I gave this movie a C+.
Jesus.
Unhinged. Anyway.
That puts it at a B+ overall, unsurprisingly.
It was a surprise to me.
Fair enough.
Crazy.
Nico and I were the middle ground this week. I did not expect that. I thought we were going to be the lowest.
Yeah, same here. I would 100% was expecting Dylan to really love this movie.
I love this movie, but then the ending hits, and I'm just like, I was like, why do I hate
the ending brings it down that much?
It's just so boring, dude. Like, I get on the verge of falling asleep once the ending hits. And it gets so stupid, too. Like, it just gets super inconsistent, like I was saying before. So.
Oh, damn.